Hi, this is Simon Upstill and welcome to another tutorial for Apple Motion, and today we're going to be taking a look at creating this circular slab music visualizer. And what I like about this is it brings together some unusual and surprising techniques. So let's get going. Okay, for this project I am going with 1920 1080, 25 frames a second and a duration of 30 seconds. And the first thing I want to do is to come over to import and my assets folder, and I want to bring in this basic drum loop, and I will give you a link to that if you want to try it out. Okay, it's pretty boring. It goes like this. But it's simple enough so you'll be able to understand what's going on here. So the first thing we're going to do, as so often, is to come over to generators, and we're going to bring in clouds. And over here in the inspector, let's set the height of the clouds to 48. And I think I don't want any speed. You can experiment with speed. It just confuses things a little bit, but you might want to have a play with that later on. Anyway, the next thing we're going to do is come to filters and stylize and pixelate. And we're going to set the scale to 48. If you remember, we set our generator height to 48, and then we're going to just set that Y offset to 24. So that's half of 48. What we're going to do is we're going to add to the offset of the X and Y our audio behaviors. So for the X, add parameter behavior audio. I'm just going to choose output as the source. So it takes a while to analyze it, and that is going to do. So shift it along on X, and let's come back to the generator and let's target the Y, and again add parameter behavior audio, and again let's select our output, and I think I'll set the scale here to 2. In actual fact, I think I might back off on the scale of the X as well. Let's go for 0.5 for the scale of the X offset. So now we've got this, which is kind of funky. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 copies of this. So right click, duplicate, and I'm going to come to properties and Y position -180. And I'm going to make another copy, duplicate, and I'm going to set this to -280. Sorry, -380, I mean. There you go. So now we've got 3 copies. So this middle one, I just want to come to the scale and set that X scale to -100. So we've got a little bit of variation in that middle, but it's going in the opposite direction. So then what we can do is we can come to this group here, and we can come to filters and distortion and polar. And what we need to do in order to get this to work is to turn this group to fixed resolution. And now you can see we've got this interesting effect like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come to filters and stylize and relief. And we want to zero out this back size, both of those values. And then we want to set this front size to something like 1.25. And it's starting to get a lot more interesting. So we can go even further. We can select this group, we can come to filters, we can come to stylize, and we can use extrude. And we're going to set that distance to 1. We're going to set the back size to something like 0.8. And what I might also do is just set that back brightness down to 0, so we've got a little bit more drama there. So, pretty funky. What we can do is set these up so they have different inputs. So I'm going to call this one treble here, the one at the top. That's that little one in the middle. Come over to the behaviors, and instead of choosing all frequencies, let's choose treble for both of these. So that's going to give us a slightly different effect in the middle, like that. And let's just go through, and probably pretty obvious what I'm going to do here. Call that mid, choose mid for that, choose mid for that. Call this one bass, come over to the behaviors and choose bass and bass. So now a little bit more interesting again, because we've got those three actually reacting to different frequencies. So let's be even more adventurous. Let's come over to the library and generators and bring in a grid. Come over to the inspector and let us set the line width to 4 and the background width to 44 and the background height also to 44. So let's open up this group here. What I actually want to do is want to make a group to put these three generators in. So just above that treble there, add a new group, drop these three into there, right click on that group, add an image mask, and let's select the grid as the source and switch to luminance. And now you can see it's pretty interesting because we've got these kind of teeth effect. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to come down to the grid itself, open up the offset, and I'm going to add an audio behavior to that Y offset. So add parameter behavior audio. Again, let's select output as the source, and let's just have a look at how that's playing. So what I really like about this is we're getting that kind of speaker pulse effect. Pretty nice, I think. So all that remains really to do is to add a bit of color. So let's select that group at the top there, colorize. Let's pick a color we like. Let's also remap the black, I think. I want to go with something like that. Not too saturated. There. And we might just want to throw on a glow as well, just to make things even more interesting like that. Okay, so one final thing is we need to add in a background. So I'm going to drop in a color solid into a new group here. I'm going to just darken this down quite a lot to around there. And then I want to give it a little bit more interest. So I'm going to, again, in generators, look for one color ray, bring that in, and I'm just simply going to set its blend mode to multiply. And that's going to give us these faint rays in the background there. Just makes the whole thing hang together a bit better. And just one final thing you might want to try, and that's to come to this group here. Just above the colorize, let's drop in filters, blur, and zoom blur. And let's set this amount to something like 24, but set this mix value down to something like 15. Definitely add something. Anyway, see what you think. So anyway, pretty simple and pretty interesting effect. There's loads of things you can do in terms of the audio behaviors that'll change the way it works. But that's given you the basic concept, and I hope that's been useful. And thanks for watching, and see you again soon.